What is going on, everybody? This is Rick Adams. Right beside me is Jack Farris. J&R's PuckHouse is back, live in effect, full action. We're here live. This is what we're doing. But when you hear this, it won't be live. Jack, say hello to everybody.
What's up, listeners? Long time no talk. Happy to be back here in the PuckHouse. We got so much to talk about, right? Almost overwhelming. I'm excited to talk. We had a nice summer off, and what'd you do? Some golfing and some little vacation time, and
Yeah.
now we're back, and we got plenty to cover. That's for sure.
Plenty to cover, plenty to talk about. I hope everybody had a great summer. I know I did. I don't know about Jack. You might have. I don't know. We barely saw each other, but that's all right, man. This is what we do. We do it on the phone. We do it in person. Jack Farris is back. We're live. We last left off, with the free agency. I know it's been a while, but it's been the off season. We were all staying up to date, doing what we had to do, and
Yeah.
this is what we do.
Well, you know how it is. You get in the dog days of the summer, and there's really not much to talk about. But this was a weird summer, you know. After the draft, you had all these trades we're going to talk about happen, and movement everywhere on pretty much every team. So
Crazy.
take a little break from the hockey in the summer in all aspects. Even if you play it, you kind of take a break, I guess, because it's time to kind of unwind and get things done, or whether it's working or whether it's a vacation or golf or hanging by the pool, whatever it may be. But
exactly.
There's no doubt about it. We got a lot to talk about. We're excited to talk about it, and hope our listeners out there are doing good wherever you're listening from.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate everybody that has listened so far. Just wanted to give you guys a special shout out. That's I know we started kind of like towards the end of the season, but it was just a decision that needed to be made. It was long overdue, and we're here doing it, and we're here to cover the whole upcoming season plus playoffs, and this is what we do, folks. Let's just dive right into it, honestly. Jack, I mean, if you want to lead us off, I mean, we should talk about maybe the biggest name, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, biggest thing on every hockey person's mind when you think about the off season. I mean, I'd say it could go two ways, but you got to talk about Johnny Hockey going from Calgary to Columbus.
Crazy.
He's, apparently he got offered a massive contract by Calgary. Calgary was doing everything they could to keep him. They were willing to move heaven and earth to keep this guy. I heard massive number on a contract, big signing bonuses. He chose Columbus, and all the rumors prior, even myself, I thought he was going to Philly. I'm sure that's where he wanted to go. That's where he's from. He's from South Jersey, which is right near Philly. And that's where he plays at like the practice rink going up for the Flyers and stuff like that. I would think that's probably where he was trying to go. Philly didn't have the cap space, couldn't get the cap space in time to sign him. And his agent was probably like, look, like, where do you want to go? And I don't know, man. It's like, look, this is awesome for Columbus. It's actually really cool for them, I think, because they've never been able to land a big free agent. When was the last time the Columbus Blue Jackets went out and got a big fish via free agency?
It's very true, yeah.
And not only that, they get guys via trade, even if it's a smart, savvy trade. They usually can't keep them. I mean, look at Panarin and Bobrovsky and Duchesne, all these guys they got via trades that didn't stay or didn't want to stay.
Right.
So now you get a guy, 115 points, played awesome in the playoffs, prime of his career, and you got so many teams that want him. Granted, only so many teams that could afford him, but he chooses Columbus. I mean, that's big for that franchise. There's no doubt about that. And he had a lot of good things to say about Columbus. I've heard good things about Columbus, the city. It's a more quieter city, but you still have some, the nice restaurants and bars in the downtown area, and I've heard it's like a nice place to live. So, look, I think ultimately what this came down to, Johnny Hockey didn't want to play in Canada. And I'm not trying to insult Canadian listeners. I think he wanted out of Canada. He didn't want to live in Western Canada. Yeah. And, it is what it is. If there was a Western Canadian kid playing in Columbus, maybe he would want to go to Calgary and get out of Columbus, right? I don't think anyone should take it personally.
No, I agree. I mean, hey, listen, you grew up on the East Coast of the United States. You know what I mean? It's like, You're in a totally different realm. You played there your whole entire career so far. You want to come back home eventually. I don't care, who you are. I mean, think about it. I was thinking about it with Barzell. You know what I mean? Like when he might sign back to Vancouver for all I know one day. He says he wants to be an Islander, but I feel like that's in every hockey player and every athlete. Honestly, maybe every athlete.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. So, it's gonna be interesting, for sure. With Johnny Hockey there, I think he'll complement Patrick Laine pretty good. Patrick Laine stays healthy. That offense is gonna be scary. I think.
Yeah, I do. I think it's kind of crazy though because like ultimately, right now Columbus is still building. And Calgary's the better team, even with Johnny Gaudreau.
Right.
On Columbus than Columbus, I think.
Yeah.
So
100%.
It's kind of crazy. Like a lot of people are saying, like he left massive amounts of money on the table. Calgary's the only team that could offer him 8 years, and a big number they were offering him. It's not like they were lowballing him.
Right.
And they had a good team there. He just, like I said, ultimately he just wanted out of Calgary. That's obviously why he made that decision to leave. But look, I mean, that's going to happen to players, and it is kind of surprising that he did that. But you got to think he was trying to get himself to Philly, maybe New Jersey. It's kind of surprising New Jersey didn't. When I heard Philly was out, I was like, oh, he's probably going to New Jersey. But who knows what happened there? Sick. Maybe he didn't want to go to Jersey for some reason. I don't know. Who the hell knows? But he signed with Columbus. It's the bottom line. I think it's awesome for Columbus, and curious how he does there. I mean, we'll see. Maybe one of these young centermen like Sillinger, Ken Johnson slides in next to him, and
be nice.
It's possible. I mean, they still got Boone Jenner. I mean, they got some solid players there. It's still, I think they're a little bit away from being like a serious contender, but who knows? They could definitely prove me wrong.
Listen, we'll see. It's season starts soon, in a week. So I've been so anxious to get this going and get it rolling and the season to start. I couldn't wait. One of the busiest off seasons ever. I really just between not to change sports and stuff, but between the NFL and NHL, like there was one of the busiest off seasons ever.
Mm-hmm.
My two favorite sports, so it was just crazy. Tons to talk about here, folks. We could talk about Johnny Hockey all night, but we're not going to do that. We're going to catch you up for those who haven't been, listening and whatnot, and staying up to date with every move and all this stuff. So we're here to fill you in and just simply ready to talk about it. So
yeah, I mean that free agent wise, that was probably the biggest signing, and I don't know what you think, Rick. Are you in agreement with me? It's kind of just boils down to he didn't want to be in Western Canada anymore. I mean, it wasn't about money, that's for sure.
It definitely wasn't about money, folks, because if it was, he would have just signed there. But I really thought he would sign to somebody like the Islanders beforehand. And I'm not just saying that because I'm being biased, and I was, because I'm an Islander fan, but it really is the fact that it was between those three teams. I didn't even think he would go to Columbus. That was when I heard that, I was shocked. I really heard that and saw that Islanders were the front runners. So I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you said that to me, and I was thinking like, oh, Lou Lamoriello is being sneaky, and maybe
right.
Hey, I mean, we live, you're familiar with the New York area and the Long Island area. It's like, that's not too far from Philadelphia.
Right.
It's actually closer than Columbus. So I thought that was kind of a viable option for him. I mean, him going to the Islanders. I mean, playing next to Barzell.
Right.
And I mean that's who knows? The Islanders probably didn't have the cap space for him.
Yeah, that's another thing too.
They probably couldn't offer the same amount that
right.
Columbus did.
That is true.
Columbus did give him a good contract. It's not like he got, it's not like they gave him $6.5 million a year. I mean, he still got $9.75, I think. So ultimately, the Islanders probably just couldn't give him that.
Right.
That's probably what it came down to. So, but hey, good for him. Good for Columbus. I'm excited to see how he does. I like him as a player. Undersized, but look, kid puts up 115 points, and they call him Johnny Hockey for a reason. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, listen, it's gonna be interesting how it all pans out. I'm a big Patrick Laine guy. I really am a big fan of him. I wanted
2 snipers.
Yeah, I wanted him on the Islanders for so long, but they re-signed him.
Yeah.
Not re-signed him. I'm sorry. Extended him. I'm sorry. Not re-signed him.
It's another good thing for Columbus. I mean, Laine decides to stay and extend.
Yeah.
So.
It's awesome. So I just think that offense is gonna be pretty lethal. So we'll see. Another thing I wanted to talk about was Mr. John Klingberg on the Anaheim Ducks, who also I think they're gonna make some sort of a run. I think Gibson's gonna have a bounce back year, but with the Klingberg extension, I'm like half and half because I believe it's only 1 year.
1 year, I believe.
$7 million. So it's kind of like, all right, if it doesn't really work out, and as long as he's healthy, they could try to just trade him, to a playoff contending team. But
yeah,
I don't know. Anaheim, I mean, they got Zegras, they got Troy Terry, they just added Strome, Vetrano. Yep. I mean, those are 2 solid depth pieces right there. I think Gibson has a bounce back year. They improved their blue line a little bit as long as Klingberg lives up to the deal. And I don't know. Just to talk about on this, I mean, I think it's a good signing, especially given the term. So.
Yeah, well, what's weird is I don't know. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with Elliot Friedman. I'm sure you are, Rick, obviously, but I remember him saying that apparently Klingberg was offered a long-term deal from Dallas.
Yeah.
Turned it down because he didn't think it was enough, and kind of out of spite was like, I'll go to free agency, and kind of over bet on himself, thinking he was going to get this massive contract, and it wasn't out there for him.
No.
There's a lot of teams that didn't want to offer it to him, and he's good. He's a very good defenseman, and offensively, and he skates well and stuff like that. But I just, he's not Makar. He's not. You know what I'm saying? He's
not on that level.
He doesn't even put up massive numbers. He's very good. I would like him on my team. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's very good, but I just don't think that 8 times $8 million was out there for him.
Doesn't make sense for him.
And I think Dallas offered him a deal, and he wanted to stay in Dallas. And I don't know. Who knows what happened? I'm sure only the agents know. But little weird that he went to Anaheim only because you look at their right side of their defense, and they already have Kevin Shattenkirk, and they have Jamie Drysdale, who I really think is going to pop. I think Drysdale's going to be a 55-point defenseman. Maybe not by next year, but he looks good, and I think he's only going to get better. So you put between Klingberg and Shattenkirk, you're kind of taking away space for Drysdale to grow. Unless they see something internally that we don't, and maybe they don't think Drysdale is ready to take that leap yet. That's possible. Or maybe the GM is just looking at it hey, Shattenkirk is maybe not, he could be injured, or, maybe he's not playing up to par in the coach's eyes or something. Or it could just be as simple as hey, let's give this guy $7 million. We got a ton of cap space 1 year.
Right.
If we're not in playoff contention at the deadline, we'll get a pick for him.
Right.
Or we'll get an asset for him.
Yeah, it's funny. Out of all our predictions, I didn't hit on one of the predictions on our last episode besides this one.
I think I had Andrew Kopp to Detroit. I think that's the only one I got.
I think you did. Yeah, I it's almost like my betting. It's I just don't hit a thing. Only one, and it doesn't do anything. It's just barely anything. But anyway, it's another story. But
that's why we couldn't do the podcast.
Yeah, that's the real reason, folks. Couldn't gamble it all away. Watch me lose it all.
Rick gambled his MacBook away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Imagine. That'd be crazy. Yeah, Klingberg, I don't think he's worth an 8 times 8. No, there's no way. I mean, I'm sorry.
even 7 times 7 or something.
That's crazy. Yeah. I thought he would have done a bridge deal, a 2 to 4, a 2 to 4 contract.
Well, he's
2 to 4 years.
30, I think.
Yeah.
I could have seen him getting 6 years with Dallas, but not at $8 million. Maybe
not at $8 million. No way.
$6 million to 7, maybe something 6.5 by 6. So, he's good. He's a good defenseman. He's good, but I think maybe his agent over bet on him.
True.
That happens in the NHL a lot.
Could be that. Not even him.
You see these agents where like you see these contracts get signed by certain players, and sometimes it's an under. The player is playing above their contract, and it's great for the team. Maybe you got a guy that's putting up, you know, 35, 40 goals and is a consistent goal scorer and playing unbelievable, and he's making like $4.5 million. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of like Brad Marchand. He makes like $6.3 million, I think, and he puts up like 100 points every year. I mean,
It's true, yeah.
there's
They
a lot
love
of guys
him or hate
that are technically underpaid, and then there's guys that are overpaid, and it's all about like, sometimes the GM makes that good bet where
Right.
they give a guy a contract and it's perfect and he's playing definitely in the means of that contract or even outplaying it.
Right.
And then, sometimes the agent overplays their hand and is just like, oh, you could get 7 years, $7.5 million if you go to free agency, and they can't. They go out there and they're like, teams are like, no, we're not ready to give you that. Like, we don't, it's not out there, and that's probably what happened with Klingberg. That's what I think. And for him, he's probably like, I'll go play on the power play with Zegras and Terry and who else? McTavish maybe if this kid,
Right.
So maybe he puts up 50 points and gets a contract somewhere else,
Yeah, who knows? Maybe that does happen. Maybe it's kind of like a prove it deal that he does deserve that type of contract.
I thought he was honestly going to end up in Ottawa.
Yeah, I thought that too.
All you hear about is Ottawa.
At Ducks in Ottawa. That's who I was thinking of.
All you hear about is Ottawa needing a right-handed shot D-man.
Yep.
So that would have been perfect for Ottawa, but he was probably him and his agent were probably squeezing Ottawa like, all right, yeah, you need a right-handed shot D-man. Give me 7 years, 6 years, $7 million or something like that. Maybe Ottawa's like, nah, that's too much. I think, because I think Ottawa has cap space. So that would have been a good fit, because that's kind of the one thing that Ottawa's missing is a good right-handed shot, puck moving D-man, but
True.
it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we can move on from Klingberg, but it'll be interesting to see how he does there in Anaheim.
Yeah, for sure. And that team as a whole, I would love to see what they do. I think here's a little bold prediction. I think they might squeeze in a playoff run as long as John Gibson has a bounce back year. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, because of Gibson alone, that's a
Yeah.
good point. Just because he is a very good goaltender, he's actually an underrated goaltender in my opinion.
Yeah, he a little setback year, but I think they bounce back. You were talking about Kopp earlier. Wanted to mention David Perron, my guy David Perron, going down to Motown, Detroit.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you could like they did a few smart signings. Kind of strange that St. Louis didn't hold on to Perron for that price, because he didn't. It's not like he got big bucks or big term.
Right.
It literally just came down to dollars probably. I mean, I guess Perron was like trying to get as much as he could, and St. Louis is probably somewhat against the cap. So
Right.
They do have some big contracts there.
Right.
I guess that's what it came down to. But he's a good player, man. And a lot of people don't think of him, but he scores every year. He's always on the top power play unit. He's a good player, and
good power play guy.
it's exactly kind of what Detroit was missing, because you looked at that top line in Detroit last year, like Bertuzzi, Raymond, Larkin, and then that second line you had Verana, I think maybe Suter, and I don't remember. Like after that, it kind of gets there's no depth, so it's kind of what Detroit was missing was depth, and they get that definitely with Perron, and they get some pedigree, guy that's won a cup. He's played in the playoffs. He's been around the league. So that'll be very important for Perron.
Leading a young
for
group
Detroit
there.
rather to get Perron, and also Andrew Kopp, Michigan kid. He was on the Rangers, played well for them. I would have liked to see the Rangers keep him, but like they're not going to be able to afford him. And Trocheck, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, Detroit did a good job. I'm a big Steve Yzerman guy.
I know you like him.
He's a smart GM, and
He is.
like when you see him do things, there's a reason for it, I think, and he built that Tampa Bay team, and I think he's just he's not overthinking things. He's probably just saying like, hey, it's we got these young good players, and we got to start improving. We got to start getting more competitive, and you get a guy like Kopp that wants to come to Detroit because he's from the area. He probably dreamed of being a Red Wing, and he's a big, solid centerman that scores goals, wins face-offs, kills penalties, does a little bit of everything. He's a Swiss Army knife type of guy. and you get a guy like Perron that could score goals and comes in with that Stanley Cup experience, and you know, you're starting to see that team fill out, and it's it's gonna be interesting to see because they got some really nice young pieces too, and they had a guy like Ben Sherratt that's got some playoff experience, big tough defender on the left side, blocks shots, eats up minutes, kills penalties. Who else did they add? Billy Huso with the trade.
True. Yeah, I like that.
You know, they got a lot of ex-Blues. Huso, Oscar Sundquist, Perron. You know, but no, I think Detroit's gonna. I'm very interested in Detroit this year.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna go
like
into
them.
the playoffs and get to the friggin' conference final. I don't think
Their
they're
goal
ready
is-
for that.
yeah.
But, I do think they're gonna look a lot better, and I'm excited. Like they're an exciting team, and like I said, Steve Eisman's a good GM, and they have nice pieces. Like
They do.
they have Raymond, they have
I like Larkin.
Cider, more Cider.
Yeah,
you know?
Cider's unbelievable.
So they're going to be interesting to watch, and I think you see these free agents that go there, and they realize that, and they want to be there, and it's going to make them more competitive. And it's
100%.
Gonna make them more experienced.
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's one of my few teams that I do want to watch religiously.
100%, yeah.
So that's definitely one of the teams I'm looking forward to watch this year. I got them on my radar. Anaheim Ducks, those two so far. Just really interested to see what they do. I don't know if Detroit makes the playoffs. I'm kind of
wishful thinking, but yeah,
I would like to see it. I don't know, just because of the goaltending. I'm a little sketched out, but maybe Ville Husso really lives up the end of his deal, and
don't be surprised.
shows a starting role. I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, don't be surprised if Nedeljkovic has a bounce back year too, because you got to
True.
remember their decor has improved, and the guy wasn't playing in front of a great decor last year. Like, Detroit had the young prospects in their system and stuff like that, and Sider had an amazing year. But other than that, the team as a whole was still like in
A lot of holes.
in growth,
Yeah.
and they were still growing, and he was playing in front of a young, inexperienced team, and it is what it is. So look for whether it's Huso or Nedeljkovic to really take a step. It wouldn't shock me at all now that they added some depth. But yeah, I mean, if we're gonna move on from Detroit here, I'm definitely excited to watch them, and there's no doubt about it. But I think we got to jump into something even bigger than the Detroit Red Wings, and we're gonna save it till the end. But I think me and Rick are too excited to talk about
that is true.
it. Matthew Tkachuk, one of my favorite players that I mentioned on this podcast several times. So I wish the Rangers would get him somehow, and that we knew that wasn't gonna happen once we seen that contract he signed. But goes to the Florida Panthers in exchange for Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar. Shocked me. I remember I was on the friggin' beach that day and sunburnt and a little bit hungover, and I was sitting on the couch at my girlfriend's house pretty tired and watching a movie or something, and next thing you know I get a tweet, and it's like Elliot Friedman or something, and it's just like Tkachuk to Florida, Tkachuk to Panthers, and I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck? And I remember texting you right away, Rick, and I was just like, geez, Tkachuk's going to the Panthers? And then it says, I'm thinking like, it's going to be picks and prospects and all types of stuff, and next thing you know, it's like Huberdeau's going the other way. I was like, oh my god. And then it says Uyghur's involved. I was like, gee, like they really liked Tkachuk.
Yeah.
I like him too, but I was like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It definitely surprised me, but when I sat back and thought about it, like they were giving a lot of flack to Bill Zito, the Florida GM and stuff, but you know what, man? Like that guy Zito in Florida, I give him credit. He sought out his guy. He was just like, I like Matthew Tkachuk. This kid's 24. I think he might be 25 now. He's in the prime of his career, and he's probably only getting better. It's exactly what they needed. They have a lot of skill. I mean, giving up Huberdeau is a big deal. That guy's a superstar. So it is. I could see how it's like, wow, like you're gonna give up Huberdeau, but like, I think part of it, personnel wise, if you spoke to the coaching staff, maybe like would be like Huberdeau's so skilled but he doesn't bring that element Tkachuk does. And in the playoffs, they got pushed around a little bit. And I don't think Huberdeau's so good. And I don't want to say he's not a playoff player because that's just insulting because he's such a good player. But he doesn't have that like,
That edge to
intensity
his
that
game.
Kachuk
Yeah.
has. Like Kachuk
Yeah.
puts up points in a different way. Like he's not gonna like, he's not gonna deke you out and do all these fancy spinorama moves and stuff like that. He'll score fucking goals. And he's I've seen him score sick goals where he puts it through his legs and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. He can do it.
But he could do it all. He'll fight. He'll hit. He's not afraid to get in front of the net. So I think Zito is just like, that's the guy we need.
Yep.
They have Barkov, who's somehow like, he's not really underrated anymore, but he's still somehow underrated. Like that, people don't talk about how good he is, and he's very good. You got some goal scorers like Reinhardt, even Anthony Duclair, who had an awesome year.
Yeah, and he's an under the radar guy too.
Yeah,
Duclair.
I think it's gonna hurt losing Huberdeau, but like having long term, I think this was a good move for Florida.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, long term, 100%.
And long term, great move for Florida. Short term, what a move by Calgary, because like they go from like Goudreau saying, "Yeah, I don't care how much money you pay me, I'm leaving," and Kachuk saying, "Trade me, I don't want to be here either." To like their whole like team was falling apart. And next thing you know,
yeah, exactly.
They go out and get Huberdeau and Weegar. They're Huberdeau in exchange for Kachuk. Like you can make that argument, like who's better. That's like preference. I like Kachuk better personally.
Right.
But you could go back and forth on that. But adding Weegar on top of that, their defense automatically gets better.
It's awesome.
And then we didn't get into it yet, but they also signed Nazem Kadri, which we're going to talk about more. But crazy. Still, like,
you gotta give credit.
Tree Living, he did a great job.
No
doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with all the adversity he faced. I mean, you got to deal with what you had to deal with, and he got it done. I mean, that's. I don't think it gets any better than that, honestly. I mean, you got to give credit to the Calgary's general manager.
100%.
I mean, for losing
back was against the wall.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's it. Yeah, that's why it's like it's pretty impressive. I mean, it really is. It's really impressive. You're losing your two star, players, and they verbally said it and meant it. So
yeah, listen, this will be an interesting one. Like, quite honestly, it wouldn't shock me like if the first year of this it doesn't look awesome for Florida just because they lose Weegar and stuff. I don't know though. I mean, Kachuk's they call him a unicorn. Like that one player that like is like so unique that like it's not something you could get every day type of thing.
Right.
Like a guy like Kachuk, like it's not like Kachuk's just like a tough power forward that puts up 40 points a year. Like this guy puts up fucking 100 and something points, and he plays that way. Like that's you want to win in the playoffs. That's who you need.
Yeah.
You need a guy that's like he's gonna piss people off. He's gonna score. He's gonna get in front of the net. He's gonna do whatever he has to do, and he's skilled on top of that. This guy makes plays. He's just a really good player. But yeah, like Calgary gets Huberdeau, which is amazing. Like, cause he's a superstar too. They gave him a massive contract. I forgot who was talking about it. That apparently, like when Florida's GM called Huberdeau to tell him that he was traded, he just hung up.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, "Are you serious? Like, fuck you."
Yeah, he literally said "fuck you," didn't he?
Something like that. I saw one of those guys. I don't know if it was Elliot Friedman or Frank Saravelli. One of those guys was talking about it. I thought it was kind of funny, but big difference going from like living on the beach with jet skis to going to Western Canada. And,
yeah, it's crazy.
Dealing with snow and shit. But less than $10.5 million a year, I guess will change your mind a little bit about that.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, listen, Calgary did a good job, and we'll see how it works out. Calgary's looking really good. But overall, if you ask me like who wins this trade, I just say Florida because of how much I like Kachuk. I could see why people think Florida gave up too much because Huberdeau and Weegar is a lot.
The same thing.
But when you break it down, I mean, they still have an amazing elite number one center in Barkov. They still have a number one D-man in Ekblad. Now they have Kachuk. They have, they don't have a lot of depth, but they have some guys that could score. And they have Bobrovsky still. He's making a ton of money. He had a great year last year. And then they got Spencer Knight, too, who's supposed to be one of the best young goalies in the league. He hasn't had too much time to prove it. But so I still think Florida's good. You can make the argument they gave up a little too much for Kachuk. But still, I mean, he's, like I said, he's a unicorn, Kachuk. So I think at the end of the day, long term, I think Florida's going to win that trade. I mean, I'll come back and talk to you guys in 3-4 years, and we'll have that conversation again. See if I was wrong or right. But
Absolutely. We'll see how that pans out. Real quick, let's wrap up Calgary. But I want to mention with Kadri, it's pretty crazy that they signed him. I did not expect that at all. I really thought the Islanders had him going. I got teased all off season with the Islanders. They didn't make one fucking move. I don't even want to talk about it. Very upset, but it is what it is. Kadri going to Calgary was pretty shocking to me. I didn't even think they had the cap room to do it. I didn't even think anything was gonna happen with him in a Canadian market. Honestly, I didn't think he would do it. Go to like Edmonton, go to Vancouver, go to Calgary. I just didn't think I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see the fit there. But
I bet he wanted to stay in Colorado, and Colorado
True.
literally just ran out of money.
Yeah.
And it came down to getting paid. And I don't know what happened with the Islanders, if he was interested in going there and they didn't have the cap space, or if there's mutual interest, or what the case was. But all I know is that Calgary did a good job, and Kadri is still going to be a very good player for quite a few years, I think. And it was a lot of money, but like, what is Calgary going to do? I mean, they lose Gaudreau and Kachuk. Like, they have to try to reckon. Like, you don't want to like wreck your team and have the fans be pissed. I mean, that guy Tree Living, the GM of Calgary, went out and did like the best he could.
Exactly.
Like, he really did. And I think Kadri's like 32. Is the end of that contract look great? Maybe not, but like, that's just the price you have to pay if you want a good player. Like, sometimes you have to do stuff like that. They did an awesome job. If you look at it optimistically, if you look at it pessimistically, would I rather have Kachuk and Johnny Gaudreau instead of Huberdeau and Kadri? Yes, I'd rather have Kachuk and Gaudreau. There's probably people out there that would disagree, but that's just me. But either way, Calgary did a great job. There's no doubt about it.
100%. 100%.
And they're looking good still. I mean, look, they still have Markstrom's an amazing goalie. That doesn't get talked about enough. They still have a solid decor, especially
Very
now
solid.
with Uyghur.
Very solid.
They're going to be a damn good team again.
Hell
That's the fact. I mean,
Hell yeah.
as good, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
We don't know.
But
No,
like,
we
they're going to be
definitely
close.
don't know.
They're going to be close.
Gotta see how these new guys fit in that system. So, it'll be good. It'll be good to see. Good hockey to watch. Let's move on from them. Let's talk about Jack Campbell real quick in Edmonton, since we're in Canada right now. Talking about Canada. Jack Campbell going to Edmonton. We had this reverse. I thought Kemper would go to Edmonton. Jack Campbell would go to Washington. That's what I had.
I was actually thinking before Detroit made the Husso trade that he may go to Detroit, because I know Detroit was kind of like looking for a goalie, and Campbell's a Michigan guy. So I remember thinking that's why Steve Yzerman's smarter than me.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Maybe one day, Jack. Maybe one day he'll be there. Listen, I think that's a great addition. I think it's great. I think it's a big upgrade from Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith. I think that's just, especially given the goalie market, what they had available, I think that's as good as it gets. And it's just going to be interesting how that pans out now that they have a goalie. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to hype this guy up as Martin Brodeur, obviously. Nobody like that. But Jack Campbell's still a solid goalie.
Solid goalie.
I don't think. Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna get into that. The contract. I don't think that's a crazy overpayment. If you say it's an overpayment, I don't think you know the market, and that's the facts. Like, I think with McDavid having that anchor in net, and I think him mentally knowing that, I think he's just gonna even explode even more. I think he's just gonna go off even more. Him and Draisaitl. So Edmonton's gonna be a great team to watch too. Always are, especially when it's Connor McDavid on the ice. Re-signing Evander Kane, I loved that. I think Kane puts in 40 goals this year. Calling it now, 40 goal scorer. Wouldn't shock me if he did that. I can't wait to watch that team. I used to watch them all the time there last year. I mean, they're always fun to watch. I can't wait to stay up late and watch that game.
Yeah,
watch their games. So.
I always like watching McDavid.
Yeah.
He's a good selling point for the NHL. Just watch that guy fly around,
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to the point with Campbell, yeah. Listen, Edmonton's a big market, big pressure market, but I think that's one of the reasons Campbell will fit right in there. He was in Toronto. He's used to the high pressure market already. Toronto's Toronto, right? So, um, it's not like you're taking a guy out of Arizona or Carolina to go play in Edmonton. Like, this guy's been in the big market before and dealt with the media and the pressure and all that stuff, and he's handled it well.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm very curious. It's a huge upgrade. There's no doubt, and I like Edmonton a lot. I mean, just because of McDavid and Draisaitl, you don't need to be a hockey expert to figure that one out.
Right.
But yeah, adding Campbell makes their goaltending situation way more solidified. Like you mentioned, over Koskinen and Mike Smith, who's
Big
aging.
upgrade.
So there's no doubt about it, and yeah, I'm excited to see how he does.
Yeah, it's going to be must watch hockey. Just really excited. I can't voice it enough. It might not sound like I'm excited, but my emotions are through the roof. I can't wait. Let's talk about Trocheck real quick. I want to talk about the Rangers real quick. Trocheck, I actually like the signing. I was a little taken back because I didn't even think of him going to the Rangers. I just didn't think of it at all. That's another guy. Like I was talking about Kadri before. So Trocheck, I mean, this guy he wins faceoffs, right? Good power play, can shoot the puck, put the puck in the net, you can set it up. I mean, this is a guy you want, especially if you're gonna lose Kopp. I think it's a little bit of an upgrade from Kopp, but I think he's gonna fit really well there. I think he's gonna fit really well on that team.
I do too. Consistently, he played great in Carolina.
Right.
He's proven that he's not. He plays with some grit too, a little bit of edge to him. He's not like a huge guy or anything, but he he's not afraid to mix it up a little bit. He's good at faceoffs too. So the Rangers subtract Strome and Kopp, and they add Trocheck, which I think Trocheck could do a little bit of both. He may not be as tough and penalty killing wise as Kopp, but I think overall, like, Trocheck's probably the best player out of the three, if you have to pick, I would think. So, I think it's an upgrade, and it's a fair contract. I think it's 5.6 and change, I believe. So, I'm excited for my Rangers. They have a good team, and, Shesterkin keeps getting better. They had Trocheck, who's probably play with Panarin, I would think. Panarin and Kakko, or Panarin and Lafreniere. So you have the Kreider, Zibanejad line up top. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think it was a good signing for sure. I didn't really have him pegged. I don't know, for some reason I always think about what city the guy's from, and I know he's a Pittsburgh guy. He's from Pennsylvania area, so I was like, oh, maybe Pittsburgh will go after him. Maybe they did, but it's a good fit with the Rangers. And letting Strome go, they had a little cap space to offer him. So
right. Yeah, I think his play style. Bringing it into the Rangers, I think he's definitely an upgrade from Kopp, definitely an upgrade from Strome. I think he's gonna fit in. Don't be surprised with the first 15 games, 20 games. It might not pan out correctly, but I think it's gonna be a solid fit. I think the Rangers easily make the playoffs next year. That's coming from an Islander fan.
Oh yeah.
I could see them making another deep run. And the future there is bright, so it's pretty scary. They're young core, so that's gonna be a must-watch team for sure. Since we're in the tri-state area over there, let's talk about the Devils. This is a team I want to get into. I loved all the moves they made. They got John Marino, they got Palat. I know they traded away a prospect, Ty Smith, but listen, sometimes you got to do some things. Hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt them. I think this is a team that just keeps getting better. You got Dawson Mercer, Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes. You're solid up the middle. You got a veteran leader, Palat. I was shocked. I thought he would stay in Tampa.
Yeah, I heard a rumor he wanted to stay.
Yeah.
And I heard he took, like, he was willing to take a lot less money maybe not a lot less, but like a good amount less than what he got from New Jersey, and Tampa had no cap space really.
Right.
That's basically what it came.
They were
down to.
handcuffed.
Yeah. But you know what? Good fit. He's another guy. Obviously, Stanley Cup pedigree, playoff pedigree.
It's been there.
He could be there for those guys like Hughes and Heischer and these guys, like some of these guys, these young guys that haven't really had a lot of playoff experience. And New Jersey's definitely trying to take that next step. It's been year after year where they're in the top. They're drafting high because they just haven't been good. Like, you can only stay like that for so long. I do think they're trying to make a step. I don't know how much I really believe in them, honestly. But they have some nice pieces. It's really, does Jack Hughes continuously get better? I like him. I think, it's not going to shock me if he does. And I don't know. I think they did a good job. Palat, is it the best fit for him? Probably not, but he probably looked at it like, where else am I getting $30 million? Not going to be in Tampa. Tampa ran out of money, basically. He's won cups with them. So, don't blame him. He's going to go try to get paid, and that's in New Jersey. So, he teach those young kids how to be a champion, I guess, and how to play in the playoffs, and, be some good experience for guys like Hughes and Heischer, Holtz, some of their other young guys.
Yeah, I think if they fix their goaltending situation, I think they're gonna have a very bright future. I don't know their farm system with goalies. I don't know if there's anybody worth notable mentioning. No disrespect, but Devils are a team on the rise, I think, and I'm not saying they're making the playoffs. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that give it 2 to 3 years, and I think they're trending up, and the New York Islanders are trending down. Sorry if I'm being a negative Nancy to all the other Islander fans that would be possibly listening, but yeah, I don't know. We could move on from the Devils. Let's
And then Islanders defense, I will defend them. Ranger fan defending the Islanders here. I think they got screwed a little bit last year with COVID.
Yeah,
all that BS and
the fucking road shit.
Yeah, all those
games should have been rescheduled.
They missed games. They missed players were missing, and I think it was kind of a weird year for them. And I do think they're a solid team. I wouldn't be going out on a limb saying the Islanders are my cup pick. That's for damn sure. But I do think they're gonna be a contender. Like, they're a better team than they showed last year.
I think they have a bounce back year too. I think Barzal goes off. I think he's kind of finally.
Sorokin's really good. I would have liked to see them maybe add like something. If they could have via trade or free agency, but whatever. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I really don't even have much to say besides we'll see what happens. And basically what I said before is that
they added Romanov. Like, that's really all they did.
Romanov, yeah. And listen, I freaked out, hated that pick, hated that move, and then I sat back, relaxed, and really analyzed it. And I was like, you know what? For right now, where they're at, what they're doing, I like it. I do like it. So. All right, folks, that brings us to our rapid fire segment. Me and Jack Farris are going to going back and forth, going off topics. We have about 30 seconds to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Jack, what do you think about the Ottawa Senators getting Giroux?
I think it's perfect for them. It's exactly what they need. A guy with some leadership qualities and some pedigree to his game. He's from the Ottawa area. Brady Tkachuk's the captain there, but they have a lot of young, nice pieces there, and he's going to slide right in, and it's kind of exactly what they need, a nice centerman with some experience that wants to be there.
Exactly. I love that signing. I do. Like you said, he wants to be there. He wants to play. Good distributor of the puck. Going to be great to see him, see how he gels with DeBrincat. You got Thomas Chabot on the back end there. They got some good pieces. You mentioned Brady Tkachuk. I can't wait to see them, and that's a solid top six that they have. That's a scary top six.
They've done an incredible job. If they could just add a right-hand shot teammate like we mentioned earlier, they're going to be very dangerous, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so number 2 here at Rapid Fire segment here, Matt Murray going to Toronto.
Matt Murray going to Toronto. I like it. Listen, this is another guy, I keep using this word pedigree. He's got Stanley Cup pedigree with Pittsburgh. Kyle Dubas, GM of Toronto, is hoping that he could rebound his game from back in the day when he played very well in Pittsburgh. He went to Ottawa, signed that extension, did not work out well, obviously. For whatever reason, just didn't, Ottawa's a rebuilding team at the time, so he's playing in front of a rebuilding young core. Maybe he plays in front of Toronto, who's, already pretty well set up, and it could be, maybe they find that spark again, and
maybe
that could be the piece Toronto needs.
Right. Yeah, that could be a beautiful bounce back season for a career. That's been basically taken off for about a year or two. If you think about it, out in Ottawa. We'll see. That's going to be very interesting how that plans out with all those solid players in front of them. And then they got Samsonov, or is it pronounced Samsonov? I don't know. I hear two different pronunciations on it, but listen, I think he's solid. I don't think he's crazy. Don't think he's anything to write home about, but we'll see. I think that's a solid 2 tandem that they got, and that's about it, folks. Let's get down to Burns and Carolina. We'll talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. We got Pax ready there as well.
Listen, I like it a lot. At first, I thought it was kind of a weird trade. I was like, what are they doing? But number one, they already have great defensemen like Jacob Slavin, and Brett Pesce, Brady Shea. They got a solid decor. They add Burns to that. It's perfect. He's going to be kind of the Tony DeAngelo replacement too on the right side. I don't think he's he doesn't like walk the blue line, and he's not as agile as DeAngelo as far as that goes. But he shoots the puck. He can hammer the puck. He can move the puck. I think he's a decent replacement, and he's got a lot of playoff experience himself.
Right.
So that could really work out well for Carolina.
Yeah, listen, real quick. Like you said, playoff experience. He's been there. I think he's going to be a great fit for playoffs. So that should be a great fit, honestly. And like you said, I was a little weirded out at first, but then, sat back, looked at it. Okay, no problem. No problem also is Max Pacioretty for dirt cheap. No problem.
Yeah, you're right. No problem is right. He's I wanted to jump on, talk about this a little earlier. Actually, he got traded for literally nothing because Vegas had to get rid of cap space. They had no choice. So that does suck. Some people have different ways of looking at it. Vegas always goes for it. They always try to make the big move to improve, which you could kind of respect in a lot of ways. They want to win. Ever since they got the taste of winning after that first Cinderella year, which was pretty incredible, but still after that they kind of got trigger happy and started making these trades and
fizzled out.
And they have to get rid of other guys that were part of that core in order to get a free agent. It just doesn't always work out. And
right.
You don't want to. They're starting to get the reputation where it's like, all right, do I want to sign there because am I going to be the guy that's shipped out next season because they want someone else? And,
right.
And that's kind of what's happening with Pacioretty. But, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I loved it for Carolina at the time, to be honest with you, but now he's hurt. So he's going to be out for quite some time. I'm sure he'll come back some point in the middle to the end of the season. They'll have him for the playoffs and stuff, but he's got to have, I don't even know if it's ACL surgery or something. He had some sort of injury that he's got to take care of. He's going to be out for some time. But if he wasn't out for some time, that would have been a great deal for Carolina. They basically got him for nothing. So, yeah, it sucks for Vegas having to give up a guy for nothing, but now he's injured anyway. So
yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Speaking of Vegas, real quick, I just want to mention Phil Kessel, Mr. Phil. Fat Phil, what's going on?
Phil the Thrill, yeah.
Phil the Thrill.
Yeah, he's listen, he actually put up pretty decent numbers in Arizona, who they were a crappy team last year. Let's face
Dumpster fire.
Let's face it, right? So, I don't know. Look, if he's playing with Eichel and Stone, I could see him putting up points.
If you could get him the puck, I know. Listen, I know he only had 9 goals and 46 assists or something, but he kind of took the role of a playmaker last year, I guess. Usually you see him one time in and sniping the puck. But listen, maybe when he's set up around those guys, he's just able to put the puck in the net more. Maybe just distribute even more since he kind of was more of a passer last year. That's just going to be interesting to see how that plans out. I kind of thought he would retire or something. I really didn't think he would play. I knew he's not the oldest player. I just thought.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about retirement with him, but I did bring it up. I don't know. I feel like after being on Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm done.
Well, he's got plenty of money. I don't think it's a money thing, but
yeah.
With Kessel, another thing, pedigree. Guy's got Stanley Cup experience with Pittsburgh.
It's very true.
Kessel wasn't going to go to Winnipeg or something. That's for sure. He went to Vegas. Vegas is not. That's one of the reasons why Vegas can attract free agents is because it's a cool place to go to, and there's low income tax and everything else. So, I could see him doing well there, but I got my question. Vegas is questionable. I feel like they don't have enough depth, and part of the reason is because they never have cap space. So they can't really fill out their roster all the time.
True.
So, but we'll see. I would not be surprised if he's playing with Eichel that he puts up some points.
All right, so real quick, let's dive into somebody. Mr. Jeff Petrie in Pittsburgh.
Jeff Petrie in Pittsburgh. Well, if you remember back when Montreal was actually good and they went on that run, how friggin' well that guy played in the playoffs. He was a monster. And he had the off year after that. He had battled some injuries. He's a little bit older now, but I think he's still solid. And obviously, Pittsburgh's management staff sees something they like in him. They got rid of Matheson to bring in Petrie. I like it. Right-handed shot. He's big. He's tough. Right. I'm sure they did their research and realized he's not injured anymore or whatever the case may be. He goes into a pretty solid veteran core with guys like Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Jake Gensel, stuff like, guys like that. So I could see him fitting in well there. He's older. He's a veteran D-man, but that might be exactly what they kind of need. Maybe he plays with Ty Smith, the younger defenseman they get from New Jersey. It's very possible.
True. Yeah, that's going to be fun how that pans out there. It's going to be, once again, another fun team to watch, Pittsburgh, only because it's kind of like an end of an era, in a way.
Yep.
And I know they got some good young core pieces like Gensel. That guy's fucking awesome, man. He's a pure sniper. So, I'm going to be watching a lot of Pittsburgh this year as well, just because of, like I said, end of an era. Speaking of end of an era a little bit, I feel like makes me feel old. Also saying that because grew up watching, Crosby and Ovechkin. I want to talk about Washington real quick. Acquisition of Kemper, Strome, and Connor Brown.
Yep.
So honestly, I don't know much about Connor Brown. He was like a 20-goal scorer, but I think it's going to be a solid player, solid fit. After I looked at film and his play style, honestly, I really don't know much about Connor Brown. I really don't.
Yeah, I like him. He's always played well in Ottawa. He was on Toronto before that, and he played pretty decent for them. So yeah, he'll be a solid winger for them. And he plays with some grit as well.
Good.
So we'll see. I'm really interested in Dylan Strome because Backstrom's going to be out maybe the entire year.
Yeah.
So Strome may get to take Backstrom's spot and trying to distribute the puck to Ovechkin.
Right.
And maybe
get some top 6 minutes.
Yeah, he's gonna be playing with probably Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, and Mantha or Wilson or something like that. I could see this being a good spot for Strome. It's kind of he had a good year with Chicago, and Chicago just let him walk, and he was a restricted free agent. It was kind of a weird situation.
Right. Yeah.
But whatever. We'll see how he does. And Washington's a weird one. I mean, they do add Kemper, which I think is underrated. People aren't thinking of it, but he's a good goalie and he just won a cup. I mean, that's we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Washington makes the playoffs.
I think so too.
I don't have them as a cup winner, but they're definitely making the playoffs.
I think they make the playoffs 100%. I like these additions. I
they probably have enough assets to Washington to make a trade. Like I could see them in during the season or at the deadline making
whether it's a pick or a prospect or whatever they got,
to upgrade their blue line or get another forward. I could see that happening for sure.
100%.
They have the assets.
100%. A trade I want to talk about that we didn't mention was McDonough going to Nashville. I think that was pretty crazy out of left field. I know they had to move cap. I knew they were tight on the cap. I just didn't see it. I kind of came out of nowhere, honestly.
Yeah, they were forced into doing that,
So.
I think, and another cap casualty. And I really like Ryan McDonough, and he was awesome for the Rangers, and he was awesome for Tampa too, and he was a leader, and the guy's good. He's still good, and I don't think it wasn't like, oh, let's get rid of this guy. He's not good. It's like we have to move someone. Who are we gonna move?
Right.
Came down to McDonough. He's making like just under $7 million, so they trade him. They get that guy Philip Myers, who's kind of like a project. He's been in the league a little bit. We'll see if he could, turn his career around and start playing well. Maybe in Tampa's a good spot. Maybe. They also went out and got Ian Cole for fairly cheap in free agency, 1-year deal. So they're probably hoping he could do some things that McDonough did. But yeah, I mean that sucks. Like I'm sure Tampa, if they could, would keep McDonough.
Of course.
But I think he does well in Nashville. He'll probably fit in well
too.
with them. Nashville already had probably exactly what Nashville needed was a guy like McDonough, because you have Yossi and Ekholm. After that, like you don't have that great of a blue line. Now you have like McDonough and Fabro as the second pairing. That seems pretty good to me.
Right. I want to talk about the Forsberg extension. I think we might have nailed it with him. I think we say he doesn't go anywhere, because I was like, I can't picture him.
I
don't remember, actually.
I said he was going to stay in Nashville. I knew it. I definitely said that.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't figure out what it was. I just didn't have a spot.
The only spot he can sign for 8 years, and who wants to leave Nashville when he gets signed for 8 years at big money?
It's true.
And I really like him as a player. He always puts up points.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I thought I don't know. I just thought that re-signing was good. You didn't want to really lose him. He's been there and knows the system, right? So that's good. Another extension. Nathan McKinnon, Mr. Big Bucks.
12.6.
Mr. Big Time.
Highest paid player in the league now, just over McDavid.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
I mean,
well deserved, but it's just crazy. You know what it is? Real quick, is that they have the lowest cap ceiling. The lowest team cap total. That cap needs to rise. If it wouldn't be so outrageous, I think it's well deserved as a player, but from a team general management structure, it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
So I know I saw something recently. It's gonna go to like $96 million by 2029, I think it was, or 2028, something like that. So that's good, but that's what's projected. So we'll see. But I
mean, this guy, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, he's unbelievable.
He just won a cup.
I know.
So like, how are you not paying him? But
exactly.
Yeah, he's worth it right now. When you're winning cups with guys and he's putting up 100 points, it's like no one's gonna be like, oh, why'd you pay that guy? You know what I mean? So
right.
He's worth it. That's for sure. I mean, and McCarr's making like 9, and they're just both unbelievable. I mean, at least they're locked in. Like it'll make Colorado's GM's job a little harder now to maneuver around the cap and fill in around those guys, but they have their superstars set at least now.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, listen. They re-signed Nichushkin. I just think.
Which I like. I like Nichushkin, but I thought it seemed high.
Very high
for him, but
I just I like how I know they let Burakovsky walk, but they kind of kept most of the core together. And
they kept Manson. They got Byram.
Yeah, I know Kemper left. I'm mentioning core. I know Kemper left, but you got Francois, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. Sorry,
Chicken Franchise.
Yeah, that's what I call him, Chicken Franchise. If you heard the other podcast episodes, but listen, I know they got Georgiev in there, but don't count out Colorado. I know oh no shit because they just won a cup, but just don't count them out due to the offseason moves they made. I mean, I think they're still just as good as they were. So, enough of that. Let's talk about Patty Kane. Does he get traded, Jack? What do you think? I think he does by the deadline. I'm giving it by the deadline.
Yeah. Listen. You're probably gonna laugh at me. I'm calling it now. He gets traded to the Rangers by the deadline.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that to be a goofy Rangers fan. I think the Rangers have the assets. And I think Patty Kane, if he gets traded, Chicago doesn't hold the cards and say, hey, we could get the most from Vancouver, so we're trading you there.
Right.
He's going to say, no, I have a trade clause. I'll fucking go here, or I'll just stay here until my contract expires.
Right.
I could be completely wrong. Maybe Kane wants to be a Chicago Blackhawk his entire life, or his entire career, whether they suck or they're good. And we know they're going to probably suck.
Yeah,
Who do they have?
true.
They signed Max Domi. I like Max Domi. They're not going to be a good team.
No.
They got rid of everybody. They got rid of DeBrincat. They got rid of, they got literally
They're
rid
tanking
of
for Connor Bedard.
Yeah, their best thing that could happen to them is getting Bedard. But I think I would think he'd get traded. He's from the New York area. He's from like Buffalo or close to Buffalo, somewhere upstate New York. I mean, him coming, they call him Showtime. You know what I mean? Like coming to Madison Square Garden, playing with Panarin, who he used to play with in Chicago.
That'd be so nice.
It'd be unbelievable.
It'd be sick.
So obviously Chicago would have to hold half his cap, but it's not a big deal because he's only got this one final year on his contract anyway. So if Chicago holds half and the Rangers could give up some picks and a couple prospects or something like that and make it happen, we'll see. I don't know. The only reason I believe that can happen is, like I said, I don't know exactly Kane's trade clauses, but I guarantee you he has trade clauses where they're not going to trade him wherever they want. No. It's going to be where he wants.
It has to be a mutual agreement, I'm sure. There's no way that the organization has the most say. There's 100% a trade clause. We all know that.
Listen, you could think of pretty much any team that Pat Kane would fit in on because he's that good.
Oh,
but
100%.
I think if it's up to him, I just think he'd probably come to New York. It's Madison. It's New York City. It's kind of close to home for him.
Right.
It's the United States still. It's the Rangers. Panarin's there.
Right.
They're a good team,
You're gonna laugh at me. And I'm only saying this, honestly, because we really didn't talk about much of them. We didn't talk about much of them at all, actually. Not even one mention. I'm going to mention them now. This is totally out of left field, but I can see it happening just because it's so random. I can see him fitting on Minnesota Wild. I know we probably might not have any interest going all the way to the west coast of Minnesota instead of New York, where... Like you said, New York has the assets. I'm not totally covered on Minnesota, but that was a crazy team last year that they had. So
yeah, and Billy Guerin, GM of he's ballsy. Like
he
I
is.
See him doing stuff.
He is.
And they do have some assets.
They have some assets.
Smart.
They got Marco Rossi.
It's a good point.
It's just
they have a lot. They have assets. They have some picks. They're not gonna have cap space for a while, but I guess this year wouldn't matter as long as Chicago held it.
Yeah.
If he's willing to go to Minnesota, I mean, I guess you're right. I just think Rangers is probably the better fit.
No, I know.
He used to play with Panarin. It's New York. Yeah. They're really good. He knows they're good.
Right.
He's from New York.
It's no secret.
He's not from New York City, but he's from Buffalo. And
I'm just thinking that...
He's not going to go to the Sabres.
No.
They're not good enough yet.
That would be a beautiful thing, though, if, like, Sabres were as good as like the Rangers level and they could get him. That would be so cool just to see that. You know what I mean? As a fan, just seeing that's cool as shit.
And Buffalo's a big hockey.
Think about the Buffalo Bills fans. Like they go crazy with hockey, So, I was just thinking of Minnesota Wild just because it's so out there. And if he didn't go to the Rangers, if he didn't go to an East Coast team, where would he go? I just thought of the Minnesota Wild just because they kind of have some assets to move and. They were good last year, so...
That'll be my homework. You know what? That should be our fans' homework. Look up Patrick Kane's trade clause if you can and tell us on Instagram what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I imagine that he's got a big say in where he goes.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's maybe like 7 teams or like 8 teams he'll go to,
He was such a high-profile player, he may have a no-move clause. So he'll be like, send me the Rangers or don't send me anywhere. That might be one of those things.
Awesome.
If you're like an average player, they're like, you're going to Winnipeg, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
a
guy like him, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It depends on his agent at the time who signed it, but like, he could just. There's a lot of players that are like, no, I'm going here, or I'm not going anywhere, and then they kind of get forced to trade them that. If you don't have a trade clause, they could trade you anywhere. It'll be the highest bidder, and then if Arizona or whoever.
I hope he doesn't go to Arizona.
He ain't going to Arizona.
There's no way.
He wants to win.
There's no way that happens.
He wants to win.
There's no way.
He's gonna go to New York or. I don't think Tampa has the assets.
I don't think so. No, I don't think he goes to Tampa, especially with the cap space. Even if they
people talk about Toronto, that would be pretty sick. Kane, Matthews, and Toronto's a good team, but like
Can you imagine?
I don't know. I don't think he'll go to Canada. No disrespect to Canada. I think
No, I don't
Canada's
think
cool,
so. He's
but
a
like
USA guy. He's US. There's no way he goes.
I just
to
think
Canada.
New York, not only because it's New York and he's from there, but it's the New York City. It's a big. It's like a big showcase like Chicago.
If he goes to
And he used to play with Panarin.
If he goes to any Canadian team, I'm saying Edmonton. I'm saying Edmonton.
Just because of McDavid.
Yeah, just because of McDavid and Draisaitl. Just, I mean, that's unreal.
I'd be very surprised, but
That's unreal. Honorable mentions, real quick, folks. Not to just cut short with Patty Kane. San Jose Sharks. Mike Greer, new GM.
David Quinn, new head coach. Yeah.
And that Jack Farris called that with David Quinn going there. I do have to say.
Yep.
I think they're in
because
good
of Mike
hands.
Greer, yeah, because I knew they had the history with the Boston University, yeah.
Yeah, so that's funny how that panned out, but I think they're in good hands. I think them moving Burns, just getting rid of the contract was a fresh start, and just okay, now we got something to work with. You know, not that they made any major moves to free him up and whatnot, but I'm just saying it's a step in the right direction. Even though Carolina acquiring Burns was good for them and whatnot, but San Jose's in good hands. I think Mike Green knows what he's doing. And I'm excited to see what happens with that team in the years to come. So
me too. I like Timo Meyer.
Yeah.
Like, people forget about Meyer and Hurdle. They're both very good
Underrated.
players. Underrated. I think they have a couple rough year or two ahead of them, but like, yeah, I think if they keep putting in young players, and David Quinn, that's like his thing is dealing with young players. He was a college coach, and that's what he did with the Rangers and stuff like that. So, we'll see how they do. I don't know. It's tough because you still got like Hurdle and Meyer, and you have Logan Couture. I don't know what's gonna go on. He's got a big contract. You got guys like that, and you have Erik Karlsson still. I mean, who's battled injuries, and he used to be such a superstar defenseman.
Yeah,
like, does he bounce back and have an amazing year or not? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think the injuries and the age have caught up with him. Unfortunately, could be wrong. Maybe he has a 60-point season next year. I don't know. It's so hard to judge that type of stuff as they get older, and the injuries really make that more complicated. But I think Quinn will do a good job with the young guys there, and we'll see what happens. It almost seems like at this point maybe like being okay with 2 to 3 years of not being good, but like acquiring a bunch of assets and kind of rebuilding, kind of almost like the Detroit way. Next thing you know, you got some stars again that are young.
Right.
I don't know. That might be the move. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know what else they could really do. They didn't go after anyone in free agency. I don't think they really have all that much cap space. Karlsson makes a ton of money. Couture makes a ton of money. They still have Mark-Edward Vlasic, who makes a lot of money.
Yeah, he does.
But they also have some young pieces that William Eklund and
True.
So yeah, we'll see where that goes. We'll see what happens with San Jose. They're interesting. It's kind of interesting to see if they're gonna, go into a full rebuild, or do they make some sort of savvy trade and try to
see
be
Couture
competitive
going somewhere.
Yeah,
Couture. I can see him going.
Because you got to think.
I don't know where yet. You
got to think if their goal was to be competitive and make the playoffs. Like, why would you get rid of Burns? Like,
right.
Why make that move? If you're gonna make that move, you might as well keep making moves and acquire assets and rebuild. But we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Last team I want to briefly mention is the Coyotes. Good luck. That's all I have to say. Playing in
I gotta say,
college university. That's
I'd
crazy.
love to go
That's
see
tough.
a game there because
absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Anyone you go see like Edmonton or Toronto or the Rangers or Islanders play, like the tickets are probably cheap because it's a college. They can't charge the same as Madison Square Garden.
Way.
Or
You literally can't. You can't.
So
and if you do, fuck you.
It's got to be kind of cool to watch that. And I mean, the only thing I could say about Arizona is they do have some really good assets coming through, like some good prospects coming up the ranks. So we'll they got some time to wait though. They're in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes too. So
yeah, exactly. Hey, maybe that'd be great. Imagine that Connor Bedard goes there, just turns it all around. Who knows?
Just him and Lawson Krause.
Yeah, because they traded Clayton Keller.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Maybe. That's a guy I like. Speaking of Clayton Keller, I like Clayton Keller. Um, sorry Arizona, but I think he's fucking wasting his talent there. He's got to leave there. He's got to get out of there.
He's on a big contract,
He's
so it's
gotta
easier said than done.
He's got to get the fuck out of there. That's scary. I don't know. Anyway, folks, that's about it. That really is. It's a great first episode. Great feeling to be back. I can't express it enough. Follow us on all social media. We got a Twitter now. Rick Adams got a Twitter. Rick Adams at JR PuckHouse. Follow us on Instagram at JR PuckHouse. All that stuff. And folks, we're here. This is the season preview. We'll dive in maybe right before the season, maybe right after. I just want to mention real quick before I let you all go. Underdog is running a really good, fantasy type of thing. It's called Best Puck. You pick all your players and you a little $10 entry for 50 grand maybe. And you basically pick a team like it's fantasy, but you just don't set your lineup. Whoever has the most points is embedded into your lineup, and you don't have to worry a thing. You just do your draft. I already invested maybe $80 into it, so and we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it all plans out. I can't wait. It's what I do, folks. Other than that, I'm excited to bring more content, more episodes, talk about the whole season. This is just the beginning. Jack, what do you got to say?
All I gotta say is that you'll be hearing from us a lot more, whether you like it or not, because the hockey season's about to start, and we'll have a lot more to talk about. So yeah, we'll be way more consistent, and we'll let you guys know. Follow us on Instagram so you have the updates, and you know when stuff's coming out, and you could communicate with us and let us know what you like and any comments or questions or whatever it may be. Yeah, and that's it. We're signing off here, and we're gonna get some rest, but it's been a long weekend, but we're pumped. Can't
Absolutely.
wait for the time we talk to you guys next pod. The season will probably be starting. So
Yeah, most likely. Jack Farris and I have our fantasy hockey draft tomorrow. If anybody wants to give us some ideas to pick, any sleepers, any favorites, any fan favorites, anything, just let us know. Reach out to us. Don't be shy now. So that's about it, folks. That's all I got. Rick Adams is out.
Jack Farris is out too. Thanks
That's
for listening.
That's
everybody.
it. Thank
Have
you.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend.